Hi, I'm Nick Maria. This is my HRM interviewing project. So the first question is to tell you about myself. So growing up, I was involved in a lot of organizations, sports, in-school activities such as clubs. I had a job at Under Armour. I was involved in out-of-school activities such as Boy Scouts. And through these various activities, I learned the importance of leadership and teamwork at a very young age. Playing lacrosse, I started maybe seventh grade, I think it was. I dabbled in a bunch of different sports before then, but lacrosse was something that really stuck with me, and I had a true passion for it. And through the years of playing lacrosse for my school team, I worked myself up into the captain position for my senior year on the varsity team. And through that captain position, the impact of a quality leader really hit home, and the importance of teamwork and unity my senior year was a big part of the success of our lacrosse team. So for on a team there's always conflict, and that was the case for our team. We had a bunch of new kids coming in, some old guys coming to play with us who hadn't played in a while. So we had a bunch of different mindsets of how to play the game that kind of conflicted with each other. So what we had to do, I was one of four captains. So what we had to do as captains was come together and establish a vision for the team, establish values and goals that we wanted to accomplish for the season. So that involves things such as how we were going to play the game offensively, defensively, how are we going to communicate on the field and off the field, how are we going to tackle practices, things like that. And with having such a diverse team, we had the issues of some people wanted to do things this way, other people wanted to do some things another way. But our coaches were confident in us as captains to be able to take those issues and work them out. So we took the players aside if they had problems, or the whole group aside from the coaching, and they let us solve the issues on our own. So we would see what was going wrong, what the guys didn't think was working, and we would talk through it, working as a unit to find out what would best fit the team as a whole. And through doing so, the guys had a better mentality about how we were approaching the sport and came together more as a family, not just a bunch of guys playing on one team. And then in Boy Scouts, I also learned the importance of a quality leader through leading the organization and looking up to the people who led the organization before me. Their guidance really helped make me who I am to this day. So in Boy Scouts, there's the head position for a boy in the troop is the senior patrol leader, and that's the guy who's in charge of leading the whole organization. You're in charge of the younger kids. You're going to be a role model for the younger kids. You have to plan and coordinate events, such as your weekly meetings, where you're going to go on outings or camping trips. And so for 2 years, I was the senior patrol leader, and I had a lot of responsibility looking after the younger kids, helping them progress through the ranks of the Boy Scout organization. And that when I was going through Boy Scouts to get to that position, I really looked up to the senior patrol leader as the main role model of who I aspired to be in the troop. And through their quality leadership, I was able to represent myself in the way that they represented themselves to me. And I feel like I was able to pass that down to the younger kids and help them come up through the ranks in the right way to set them up to be the best person that they could be inside and outside of Boy Scouts. Another big part of being part of a team was clubs in school. I was part of a couple different clubs in school, and there's always the president, the vice president, the group of people who run the club, and I was a part of a couple of them. I was part of the Young Republicans Club, and through that we were able to kind of voice our opinions on what was going on in the election. It wasn't really oh, you have to be a Republican to be a part of this club. It was just kind of talking about politics and things like that. And so we learned how to debate with each other, and learned how to have our differences but get through them through walking or through talking with one another, and we were able to establish our own ideas, and so we were able to get a background of kind of standing up for oneself but also still being respectful in that manner. And so that was also an important part of what kind of helped set me up to who I am today. And then going along with school and the clubs in school is the importance of schools and grades to me as a person, because it shows a lot about who you are as a person. Because if you're not determined or if you don't really care, you're not going to get good grades. But myself, I had pretty much A's through my whole 4 years of high school, and so I feel like that was a good show of how much I cared about where I was going and what I was doing, and how determined I was to achieve the goals that I had set out for myself. And then probably the final thing that helped me really be molded into the leader slash team player that I am today was working at Under Armour. So through Under Armour, one of their main kind of topics, or what they really stressed, was their teamwork. And it's a large store. I worked in the Hershey store, and you couldn't that establishment would not have succeeded without the teamwork aspect. I worked there for a couple months. I was a seasonal sales associate, so I worked there from before Black Friday through the winter, and then I'll probably be working there this summer. So the most hectic that I've seen it was at Black Friday. I was working there. I had a shift from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 4 p.m. to close, which was around 1 a.m. And through that time, you have members of the team. They divided the store up into teams, and so I was on the team that was doing go back, so people in fitting rooms wouldn't want something that they tried on, and we'd have to find where in the store that particular piece of clothing would have to go. But there were other people established, like there are other people in other part of the stores doing different jobs, so we were all kind of running around each other trying to not mess up what the other person was doing. But with being there at the store for so long, people were getting tired. People's tempers were flaring. So what our manager decided to do was take a quick break, brought everybody in the back, said, "Hey, I realized that we've been here for a while. Things are very hectic. But we can't start getting mad at each other, or else we're going to enjoy being here less, and we're just going to start doing our jobs worse. Productivity is going to go down." So he inspired us to do better and look positively on the time that we were spending there. So that example of leadership really highlighted, my manager as a leader really highlighted kind of what I wanted to be as a leader, being able to inspire my team to do the best that they could do. And I also translated that into Boy Scouts and lacrosse and the club in school. And so that those specific examples are what I really feel helped to mold who I am today. So the second question is, talk about a significant accomplishment in your life. So one of the proudest moments, if not the proudest moment of my life, was when I was in the Boy Scouts of America organization, and I made the transition from a Life Scout to an Eagle Scout, which an Eagle Scout is the highest honors you can get within the Boy Scouts of America organization. And so to do so, becoming an Eagle Scout takes many years of dedication and hard work and commitment. You have to go on numerous outings. You have to spend numerous hours, days and nights outside doing specific things, community service, earning badges, going to leadership conferences, learning how to be a good leader within your troop and how to motivate the kids who are under you. Because most Eagle Scouts you have to have a leadership position within the troop, which for me it was the senior patrol leader. And going along with becoming an Eagle Scout, you have to do an Eagle Project, which normally is some type of community service. So most kids do something along the lines of constructing pathways for walking, or fixing up a flagpole or cemetery, something along the lines of that. But I decided to go off the beaten path a little bit, and I organized a car show raising awareness for our local nonprofits, such as the DDS, which is the Disability and Development Services, and the Susquehanna Association for the Blind. So what I had to do to get this whole car show together was I had to contact the local businesses where I wanted to host the actual show. I had to contact the car clubs to provide the cars, and I also had to contact sole car owners that I knew who would be interested in supplying cars for the show. And I also had to contact the DDS and the Susquehanna Association so that they would be able to provide supplies and a person to talk about their specific organization when people arrived. So for the actual show, after having contacted and made the connections that I needed to make, through which I learned how to write professionally in a business email or hold a professional conversation on the phone, I had to set up the actual event. So I had to organize the kids. Every Eagle project has to involve the members of the troop. So I had to organize and go through each kid in the troop and find a task that I knew they could handle and I knew that they could carry out efficiently. And I had to come up with backup plans in case there was a rain delay or some kids couldn't make it. And then so going back to the actual setup, I had to organize the cars in a way where everybody would be able to see the cars in a relatively good amount of time, and how they would get access to the information about the DDS and the Susquehanna Association. So what I did, I had the two nonprofits set up their booths right inside the entrance so that as people walked into the car show, they could get an idea of what was going on. They could talk to the representatives of the nonprofits and see how they benefited the members of our community or our society, how they helped, how they could get involved. And so also that when they walked out, they would remember, hey, I can sign up to do this, or hey, I can take this information and bring it to somebody else. So it was really, when it came time to the actual day, and seeing how all my hard work in making the connections and contacting the businesses and contacting the car clubs and the organizations and putting out information on when and where the event was being held, and seeing a large number of people come and actually appreciate the cars and get a lot of information about the nonprofits that I was promoting, really was an eye-opener to me to see how your hard work and dedication can really pay off. And it was a feel-good moment that, looking back now, still feels good. And if I had to do it again, I 100% would. So the third question is something that I learned in class. So I would say the three most important things I learned in class was one being the importance of leadership. Two and three kind of go hand in hand. Two being the importance of inclusion, and then 3 would be knowing who you're working with. So the importance of leadership to me, one of the biggest things is strategy and planning. Without a good strategy or without a good plan, if you just kind of go in willy-nilly, nothing is really going to come together, and you're not going to really achieve anything significant. So you have to know what you want to do, know what you want to accomplish, and by doing so, you have a strategy in which it highlights the steps of what you're going to do, what you're going to accomplish, and how you're going to accomplish it, and when you're going to accomplish it. And so, a good example of this that I saw in the Wall Street Journal was Elon Musk with Tesla. And what Elon Musk wanted to do, or what he is doing, is he's bringing new, innovative ways or ideas to the auto market, and with a strategic vision of electric cars, which would be better for the ecosystem. He's bringing self-driving tech in an attempt to make the roads safer, and the way that he's going about these specific goals that he has in mind is paying off as the shares in the stock is skyrocketing. He's doing extremely well. He just passed Ford on the stock market, and he's currently in the number 2 spot. And it all goes back to his strategy and planning, and how he thought to himself, hey, I want to be here. I'm not there yet, but this is what I have to do to get there. And that, in my mind, is one of the most important, if not the most important things of being successful within business or within anything you really do, is that strategy and that planning phase of how you're going to accomplish something and when you're going to accomplish it and with whom. So second and third things, which were most important to me, were the inclusion and the knowing who you're working with. So the reason I said they go together is, to be included, you have to share a common vision or common goals, and by doing so, you have to know who you're working with, how the other person you're working with operates, and so through doing so, you establish the same values. You want the same thing out of the business. You want to achieve the same things, so you're all equally motivated to do the best that you can do. And if there's a sense of inclusion, that just increases productivity even more. If you're a leader and you're involving your employees, and you're actively asking them what they think of the current situation, or the current goals or the current values, and you include them, and you really take their knowledge to heart and take their opinions to heart, and you show that in what you do with the business, that shows that they really care, that you really care about them and what they're doing and their opinions, and they'll feel included and feel inspired to do the best that they can for you and for the business. So that's why I think leadership and inclusion and a shared sense of goals and knowing who you are working with, that would be the 3 things that really stick out to me of what I learned in class.